So many people these days are exploring the possibility of starting their own business. If you have not done it yet, it's probably crossed your mind, or if you just jumped ship and you're starting your own business, or if you have been, you're running your own business for a while, it's probably because you wanted to have more freedom, you wanted to make more money, but also there's an underlying theme that I see with most entrepreneurs, which is we all seek more meaning in running our own business. So many people these days want to change job, are tired of large organizations, tired of large corporations because they can't find a lot of meaning in what they do. And it's more and more like this. The trend is that jobs become so technical these days that it's hard to define, to even explain to our family members what we do in those jobs, because it's so technical that we use jargon that doesn't make any sense for people outside of us. Even sometimes for us, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. And that's my experience. I used to work in large consulting organizations and for large clients, and very often time I was wondering, like, what is the meaning really of this project? I feel like we're spending all this time, money, energy, all those resources for very little impact that I could see. At least I wasn't able to see really the impact. I wasn't able to see the meaning, and my sense of direction in this job was was very limited. I was very short-sighted. Therefore, I didn't feel like I was making good use of my career, of my time, and I thought changing organization would work. Tried it a few times, but then very quickly I became an entrepreneur because I knew this was the place where I wanted to find fulfillment, inspiration, and meaning. And that might be your case too. But then here is what happened. After that, I thought, okay, great freedom. I remember, and I have started now 4 companies, in the past 20, 30 years. And I remember the first day I started MetaHelm, my current consulting firm. I was here at my desk. I was actually exactly in this room, and I felt such a sense of freedom. It was quiet. I didn't get like 200 emails a day. I was not pulled in so many directions for meaningless meetings, and I was completely free. And for a while, I explored that freedom quite a bit. I launched different things, tried different techniques, until I was faced with the necessity to make my business more efficient. So then came the themes of processes. Then came the necessity to reinstigate processes. And I found myself building a structure now that was giving me less freedom. So it was kind of ironic, right? I built a company to have more freedom, but then it turned into something that gave me less freedom at some point. And I thought I was completely losing my sense of direction. I thought this company was yet again meaningless, didn't have meaning. Meaning is not something that comes inherently in things. Meaning is always generated by something outside of us. It may be an interaction or conversation with somebody. Maybe impact. When we say impact, impact is a very dynamic word, and we think, okay, impact means, I'm going somewhere. It's coming out of. We touch, we push something. It's outside of us. We create that impact, and when we see that impact, that's where we find meaning. That's where we find a sense of direction. And also, that's when our senses are activated. We get energized, we get goosebumps, we want to cry. We're full of joy. Our whole body gets activated because we find meaning. So our body is probably the greatest signal, the greatest sensor for meaning. And it's through those interactions with the outside, with the external world, that we find meaning. But sometimes we're so much into our business, we're so focused on the nitty-gritty that we don't find meaning anymore. So we kind of avoid it. Like, is running or doing accounting or bookkeeping meaningful to you? In the moment, probably not. But if you step back and if you look at what having healthy and stable money habits creates for you and your clients, you may realize that actually doing good bookkeeping can be really, really meaningful because it keeps your company going. You know where you're headed, where you have visibility. Another example is with sales. Sometimes, and I heard this from a client yesterday telling me that doing a lot of sales calls to people who might be interested in his work is soulless. He dreads it. It's just draining him, and that he doesn't put a lot of meaning into this. He would rather wait and have leads come his way, but that's unfortunately not how it works. But there are so many ways to do outreach, and I told him that, well, if it drains you, if it's something that you feel is toxic, don't do it. Stop doing it. There are other methods that maybe will create that sense of direction and that sense of meaning, that will create the connection between what you do here and now and the impact that you create outside. We are faced with the necessity to be efficient, to build processes, and even in the smallest businesses, right? And so I see a lot of entrepreneurs really reluctant to blocking time or building a good schedule or forming healthy habits and climbing on the treadmill of the day of going from one thing to another. And I think that it's because they don't make the connection between these minute activities, these little things that they need to do, and the bigger picture. So take a moment to step back. Take a moment to look at what you do in a day and maybe accept that not everything has to have meaning right now. Maybe accept that it's okay not to be inspired to do something right now and still do it. Maybe accept that, you don't have to be excited right now. You don't have to be excited in the moment to do something. Maybe accept that this is the newer version of working on an assembly chain, but this time this assembly chain has been built by you, for your business. If it feels like this, maybe it's a good thing. Another example I heard today, a client of mine, I was asking her, so how is it going? And she's like, oh, well, at the beginning of the week, I was really overwhelmed. Lots of things are happening to me. Many of my clients are asking for a lot of things, so many projects. So I decided to actually, and that's not exactly how she said it, but meaning look down and focus on what I can do now and focus on what I can control now. It is really this ability that you have already within you to go from what Ron Heifetz, the man who coined the term adaptive leadership, what he calls the dance floor, the moment, the place where you're just running around, you're just doing a bunch of little things that, just by themselves probably don't have a lot of meaning, but when they add up, create a lot of meaning, a lot of impact, make a lot of sense for you and for the outside. So there is a possibility that you have, a skill that you have to go from the dance floor, from that place of really, really fast action and short-sightedness almost, to what he calls the balcony, where you get to stand and look around and say, hey, what's going on really here? What's going on? I feel like it's really a balance and a good combination of both discipline, both practices that really help people make a lot of sense. These days, I see so many people wanting to figure out the meaning of their brand, the meaning of what they do through a lot of introspection, through a lot of reflection, a lot of discussion, a lot of being on the balcony, right? They want to attend yet another group program. They want to work with yet another coach to find meaning in their business. They want to read yet another book, personal development or business development book to really reflect on their business. They're working outside on the business a lot, but not in the business. Equally, I see so many people just so busy running the business that they never stop and they never get on the balcony. It's really it's really too bad because they miss a lot of the sense making activities and sources that they could find. So it's really about that balance that you are able to find these days. There are so many possibilities, so many technologies that help us get organized, get more discipline, get more connected with others, to create that sense. This is a reason why I highly encourage all of you, all of my clients, to express themselves, to tap into their creative energy without expecting to have a lot of views, a lot of likes, a lot of followers, a lot of leads coming in. No, maybe a small number is just enough. But most importantly, because expressing things, expression, externalizing your thoughts, externalizing your work helps you make more sense of actually what you do. When your voice goes out and you can hear it, and you can hear it now and later, when you look back at some of the videos you create, or the articles you wrote, or the posts you wrote, or the emails you sent, it gives you such a powerful vantage point, such a powerful opportunity to look at the trail and to see really where you're coming from. You have an origin. Your business has an origin. Every project has an origin. So the more you create, the more you're going to build that trail of ideas, of examples, of trial and errors, of experiments. And the more you're going to be able to create that sense-making activity. In fact, your origin story will be easier to see from where you are now. Equally, when you turn to the future now, and you're really seeking to connect very simply what your business does with what is happening outside, maybe you'll see an opportunity that you want to reach, right? MetaHelm is on a journey to help you, to help entrepreneurs. And right now, I focus on professional services firms, consultants, coaches, engineers, digital marketing, agencies, recruiting, all of those people who want to monetize their knowledge, through selling authentic expertise. Right now, this is what my firm does, and the meaning and the opportunity that I see out there is to create a more authentic world, a more true world, because when you tap into authenticity, if each of us tap into authenticity through entrepreneurship, it will create that environment, that network, those markets, those ideas that flow more authentically. It will create a place where there is more fairness, for instance, more truth, more humanity as well. So this is the sense that I give in MetaHelm. But for my clients, the sense that MetaHelm has may be different, and that's okay. Not everybody has to make sense of the same thing in the same way. There are so many interpretations. Your narrative about something may not be the same narrative as your neighbor or your colleague or your friend or your wife or your partner or who else. For my wife, for instance, MetaHelm is the entity that brings money. And that's about it. And she also sees me as being very fulfilled and very joyful, and that's it. And it stops there. And that's perfectly fine. But for me, it has also the same meaning, but a much broader meaning. For my clients, that brand represents accountability, represents support, represents feeling listened to, represents community, because I have group programs. It can represent a lot of things, represents traction. I get a lot of things done for my client on a weekly basis. It represents stability. It can represent many, many, many different things. Again, meaning comes from the outside, and it's all about being able to navigate from inside to the outside, being on the dance floor at some point, and being on the balcony, the next moment. I hope that this small talk here inspires you to keep going no matter what. Because if you don't find immediate meaning, immediate fulfillment, immediate joy in what you do, just keep in mind that maybe it's because right now you are on the dance floor. Maybe right now you are building those small habits. You are building those processes. You are going through the grind, the emotional labor that it takes to create systems maybe for your business. And that's okay. It may not make a lot of sense immediately, but eventually it will. Eventually it will. Like I do these videos almost every day, and so many times, probably 8, 9 out of 10 times, I don't feel like doing them. I question it, like, does it have meaning for anyone? Do they make sense to anyone? Well, at least they make sense to me. And maybe as I continue to create them, eventually they will create meaning for somebody, for someone, maybe a group of people. Maybe it's going to happen in 100 years. Who knows? I am ready and willing to accept that possibility and also that uncertainty. So this is a concrete example of what I mean by doing, things that feel very tactical, very technical, that feel sometimes that you have to go through them, but not really sure what they bring to the picture. That's what a business is. That's the reality of a business. That's how you create an authentic, successful, viable, and ultimately meaningful business. I hope this helps. And as always, I welcome your comments and questions on this quest to create more meaningful and inspiring businesses. Thank you so much.